Welcome to the highlight show for Group 15 of the Ultimate Pool Champions League. Karl Sutton, a Pro Series champion and a Pairs Cup champion, is the top seed in this group. He's joined by former world champion Scott Gillespie, former Pro Series champion Jake McCartney and new professional Marc Fleming. Let's get straight into the first match, and it is the big Aussie Jake McCartney taking on Karl Sutton. The opening couple of frames were shared, and we joined Jake with a break in frame 3. Stephen Jameson joins myself, Simon Webb, on commentary.
Cool, that's even better. 8 ball was in motion too. Not too sure how that's right. Don't think Jake McCartney is either.
He did hit this one better as well. The first one, he just got that smidge too much backspin on it. It almost bounced off the pack, whereas this time the power really drove through. And it's a maddening game because he got a ball off the last one and a good chance. This one comes up dry.
Yeah, and Karl won his first frame of the match on his break, but relied on a Jake McCartney mistake for that because Karl's break was awful.
Yeah.
He almost got away with one, really, to stay on serve.
Yeah, when you break like Karl did in the previous one, you are expecting to lose the frame. So the fact he's 1-1 and not 2-0 down is a massive bonus here. Does the yellow that's in the triangle area, can just sit next to the line, does that go to the corner? Just had a little look. I think it does. If not, I think he may have played for it into the top corner there. Yeah, it must do. He's played on it. Yeah, half a pocket.
Yeah, just double checking.
He's leaving one down the table, or he may leave one down the table. The problem with leaving that one at the bottom of the table is if you get just off angle on it, that 8 ball could become tricky to land on. Okay, there's plenty of room there. There's more than it looks. That red isn't in play, but if you land sort of top side of straight on that yellow as a last ball, you could end up awkward getting on the 8 ball. Whereas the one he's on now, you just couldn't not get on the 8 ball with.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
And he has come past ideal on this one. And he has landed short of that straight.
A long way short of that straight.
If he gets straight, he's perfect. And if he gets a few rolls past straight, he's perfect. Here, he's working. Easy to come up short onto the 8 ball now.
I think he's got a nice line. It's all about the pace, really.
Yeah, beautiful.
And controlled it really, really nicely. So Karl Sutton takes a 2-1 leads.
Oh, this one's not much better. I mean, the cue ball's going to stay on the table, but
not that you'd know it.
Oof, that's where the game really hurts you. Jake hit his last break really well, comes up dry, gets punished, and, well, complete miss hit from Karl. That's 2 out of 2 that Karl's miss hit.
Couple of options for him here.
I like reds if the one on the bottom cushion slides by the yellow. The reason I don't really like yellows because that one near the middle is awkward. But it might have to be yellows because if that one on the bottom cushion doesn't go for reds, then reds are tough.
I think on the yellow as well, you could maybe get creative, use one at the top of the table as a plan.
Yeah, I think he probably has to. Then the yellow will come across to the sort of middle of the table. Maybe he has to play it firmer, get it across the right-hand side. It can go awkward. The reason I liked reds more than yellows if the one at the bottom went was simply that the red that is next to the yellow that's causing a problem was easier to solve. Easy to have a nice little delicate cannon onto it. Reds around it.
Yeah, eyeing it up now, which I quite like actually, because it gives him a bit of an insurance policy. If it does go a little bit awry, he's not relying on his next ball coming up nice. He's got The insurance down at the bottom right of the table. Yeah, that'll do.
You couldn't play on a moving ball, or it's never ideal to. The only thing I would say, I thought he was going to pull the cue ball back a good foot and a half, so at least he was leaving an angle to go up the table, because the yellow was always going to stay in the top half. He's actually given himself a bad angle on the yellow at the bottom of the table, and he's looking to pick a gap because of it.
Yeah, and it's not a big gap either. He has got there just. Oh, he had to use all the pocket. And he snookered on the 8-ball, I think.
And this is all to do with not pulling back far enough 2 shots ago.
Yeah, I didn't realise he was so tight. I think he couldn't see the thinner side of it. Can he bend this one in? Big shot if he can. Not a bad effort. There's no foul at least, but Jake McCartney comes to the table with the chance to square things up. 15-second shot clock now in play 2.
It's not the worst leave. Jake will be thrilled to be at the table, but he hasn't left anything easy on for Jake, who would have been hoping to come to the table with a nice, easy clear-up job and then have the break in the next frame. He may have to get creative, maybe take a pot on with an element of safety. May just be an out-and-out safety. It is.
He's judged that pretty well, I think.
Yeah. He's looking to come off one cushion. Well, this is every chance of sliding lower the 8-ball here.
Oh, he didn't miss that by much. But Jake McCartney will get the chance now to go and win the frame. Always think it's a bit of a gamble, leaving the one cushion.
Don't think he had too much choice there, to be honest. It's if Karl makes it out of that snooker, sometimes you have to take that. He wasn't left anything easy to go at. Now they're all there for him, and in a strange way, even though he's 2-1 behind, he's in the driving seat. He's breaking next. He's going to leave himself a couple of minutes to maybe steal the win away.
And Jake, he needs to keep his confidence, because in reality, he's played one bad shot, including the 2 breaks. Kind of went wrong, snooking himself in frame number 2. Since then, hasn't seen the table. But he looks to be playing well.
He's not overly rushing. He doesn't need to. 2 minutes is enough time for that break clearance. He doesn't really need to rush to try and give himself more time, because you can't use it on a 15-second shot clock. So it's actually to his benefit to go at a nice pace on this one. Because if he makes the break clearance in the next, he doesn't leave enough time for another one.
So he hopes. Oh, so he hopes. Well, what's he left? It's a dry break, but is it a nice leave for him in the sense that Karl's got nothing to play?
Unless the red that he's nearest to goes through the gap of the other 2 and into the middle pocket, I don't think he's on a thing here.
145 and tick, tick, ticking.
That's the best of the 3 breaks that Jake's hit, and he's dry again.
Karl's played a good shot there, bit of tippy-tappy to kick things off. Table's wide open, that's the biggest issue here.
Yeah, and it's hard for Jake to return the favour here. Every chance that Jake leaves a red on when he plays this, it's hard to sort of not leave the red to the top left, top right as we look from the overhead. That's why he's using every single second. Oh, he's played a great shot. That really was a great shot.
And now Karl's going to try and use up most of the clock here.
Yeah, he's returned the favour. He's given Karl the same problem. It's slightly easier for Karl where he is to get this one back into a tight position.
He's dangled the carrot for me there. He's dangled the carrot.
He wasn't trying to leave this on. He was trying to weld that to the red and leave nothing. Jake has the chance. Okay, 30 seconds isn't much.
He's about as laid back a character as you'll ever meet, Jake McCartney. He's not a man to naturally move quickly.
It's going to come down to one shot. Can he get the cue ball onto the one in the bottom half of the table? Oh, Jake, you've not left yourself on the one on the top right now. He's going to run out of time.
Yeah, ran out of time. So they'll settle for the draw. 2-2 it finishes. Karl Sutton probably quite a relieved man as the way that final frame unfolded.
On to our second match of the night and an all-Scottish affair. Scott Gillespie taking on Marc Fleming. And it was former world champion Scott Gillespie that made a break clearance in the opening frame. Marc has his first shot of the night, 1-0 behind.
The enforced break with the COVID-19 pandemic, and before that happened, I mean, he was the most informed player in the world.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's right up there with anybody, and yeah, they all came in such a short space of time, and obviously a huge number of other titles as well in that period. But they're the highlights. Just hasn't quite delivered on that level with Ultimate Pool yet. Not the start that Marc wanted to tonight, though. Straight into the corner. Chance for Scott to start back-to-back finishes from the break. If the yellow nearest the bottom left-hand corner passes the red, then this is as good as it gets. If that yellow doesn't pass the red, he has work. Looks like he's taking reds, so that yellow can't pass at the bottom. The red obviously goes. Oh, yeah, you can see on the overhead the yellow doesn't go. The red does. So he needs to hit a gap, get on that red. Ideally now, you wouldn't want to leave it too late.
Fiddly little finish this.
He's coming to have a look to see whether he can get the cue ball on the bottom cushion. If he does get it on the bottom cushion, can he then get the cue ball back out to be on the red over the right centre? If he hits the gap of the yellows, somewhere where the red is now, the one on the right-hand side, then he will have the angle to get back out for the one over the middle. I quite like this. He's going to clear the two at the top of the table so that when you play the one to the bottom left, you're playing on the 8 ball. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Because it wasn't just playing on the red he's just potted, it was playing on it in such a way to drop it in to be on this red. If you ended up short on it, you'd have had a tough job getting on this ball. So I really like this. Clear these out the way. Personal preference now. He can go both ways. He has a lovely angle. You can either stun it in, not moving the cue ball very far to play the gap of the yellows, or you can top this through for the bottom cushion. And bottom cushion would be fine playing onto the 8 ball.
Yeah, the gap's not the biggest, but it looks like that's the way he's going. And I'm not surprised, to be fair. We talked about that sort of style of Scott Gillespie. He's a punchy potter, isn't he? He prefers to strike through the ball. Never going to be a dibbly-dabbly floater down the rail, was it? It's every chance he's got to punch it into the pocket, he'll take it. This for 2-0 then. Oh, well. That's a big surprise.
Didn't see that one coming.
Was he just a little bit concerned with the in-off?
I don't think so. He's just missed one. Maybe it was half an eye on it, but the little flick on the yellow went rather than being right behind that 8-ball. And even then, you know, it's still a surprising miss. That yellow dropping in won't make any difference to Marc here. He's still fine. In Marc's mind here, he's thinking this isn't just an opportunity to get your Q arm going, get into the match. This is a big moment for him. He's thinking this hurts. Roll these in, go 1-1. Scott will be mortified that he's not 2-0 up, and they'll be all square, but there'll be one player happy and one not.
It's a strange kind of momentum, isn't it?
That's a little bit fortunate. Has he just come up a roll short? Does the natural take him into the 8-ball? You can stun up wide of it, but you could leave yourself just an awkward 8-ball then. No, he was straight enough. He was straight enough. Looking for problems when they're not there.
It's sort of the industry we're in.
Yeah, true, true.
So often these lads make problematic situations very, very routine.
Marc won the next frame as well in a couple of visits to go in front, and he has the break in frame 4.
And he's going to get the opportunity. It's a decent one. One cannon required. Still one cannon required. He could have gone into it there, but you couldn't get into it direct. You'd have to go into the red to then go into the yellow, and there was no guarantees of that coming out. So he's going to do it this time round with pace.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is he on a ball, though?
I think he's got a shot.
Very thin on the one he's just moved.
Is he even on the one to the bottom of the table?
Yeah, that will cut to the bottom, but it's a very awkward shot. And a very awkward cue ball to go with it. He was hoping for better than this, that's for sure.
Yeah, probably deserved better than this, but that's what he's playing. Big shot.
That was tough. That
Oh,
was
it
so
was.
tough.
Scott Gillespie then. We're going to see back-to-back 2-2 draws to start the evening. Really would be all to play for. Big chance for it now.
Scott's got to make sure here, and nothing is ever guaranteed under pressure. But if he gets this together in the next 2-3 shots, he might fly through the next ones to give himself an outside chance of back-to-back finishes. Worst way, he should give himself a chance for a golden break. You've got to make sure of the finish.
Played that well.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's been a very, very interesting start to this evening's play. That's for sure. All these players were keen to say to you in their interview side that they thought this was maybe the closest group on paper. Well, so it may well prove to be. Watch that 8 ball, that's what he's playing for. Gets it sort of moving towards a pocket. No dice though. Marc is swiftly up to give this a little dabble.
Not a great split though, is it? 20 seconds. One bad yellow and a bad 8 ball. 8 ball's not bad anymore.
He wouldn't have needed long. I don't think he'll have enough time, but he would not have needed much more. That's a great effort. So then, back-to-back 2-2 draws to start the evening. Shake hands between two good friends. And this night just got very, very interesting.
Marc's going to stay out in the arena to take on Jake McCartney. The opening 2 frames were shared with reverse clearances, and Marc has the break in frame 3.
Well, Marc's break in terms of making a ball has never been an issue, but his cue ball has. That was, well, it's better purely in the sense as it's not in a pocket. It's still a little bit loose, and you could see that was the ball that Marc Fleming was watching there as soon as he hit that.
Yeah, he came across it just a little bit. You saw the spots spinning. A little cluster around the 8 ball, but they're not really a problem at all. The one to the right of the 8 ball passes to the corner, and that opens up the other one. I think he was probably playing on it there, and he's come up quite a bit short. It's nicely controlled onto one at the top of the table. Depends which way he sees it. I say he came up short. He may be thinking, okay, get on that one to come up the table, get the one in the top half, and then come back down. But the hardest ball on the table for me right at the start of this visit is the one to the left of the 8 ball, and he still needs to play good position to get onto that one. Needs to slide by the red. Just. He may have to play a cannon now. Depends how he sees it. He could try and avoid the cannon and play on the loose yellow, because I don't think he can hold on the other yellow by the 8 ball. So he needs to would need a good angle. But if he played a cannon, which he has, just had to make sure he didn't get the full contact. That was lovely.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with all 4 players. They're all playing well. You know, invariably, the way that these nights often tend to work is there usually tends to be at least one player who maybe doesn't quite arrive at the party, but that's not been the case tonight. All 4 present and correct. Fleming to go back into the leads.
Didn't want to leave it on the cushion, but couldn't avoid the contact on the red.
Not a problem.
It's just one of those 8 balls that you just know you should never ever miss, but it can just get in your head that you're off the cushion, you're not on it as nice as you want to be, and he just took his time just to make sure, steady himself, and right in the heart of the pocket. Oh, has he got an opening yellow?
I was really waiting to say that'll do, but I mean, it'll do in the sense of he'll just be so pleased just to be at the table, because Jake's break has been misfiring tonight in a really strange way. just in the sense he's hitting the ball really well, but he's not really had any run off it. And I think he's okay here.
Well, I don't
the
think
top of the table looks messy.
Yeah, I don't think he can pot a yellow, which is why I was saying if he can see an opening yellow. But actually, if you take reds, it's one simple loss of turn at the top of the table to take control of this frame. And that's what he's looking at now. It's going to take him 2 reds to get up to the top end of the table when he can then play the loss of turn. If he can play the loss of turn on the, like brushing off the red nearest the yellow, he might be able to lay a really nasty snooker at the same time as playing the loss of turn. Has he come far enough up the table to be able to play the snooker? I think probably wanted to be a little bit further past the break line to be able to play it with control. Now he has to play it quite thin. Delicate shot. Beautiful.
Oh, that's so well played.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Marc was waiting for it as well, wasn't he?
It's just really good match play. You know, first thing you think of after the break is, oh, there's no clearance is going to be nasty here. But actually, those reds were laid out perfectly to take control of this frame. And now he gets his reward, an opportunity to go ahead and win the frame. It was a bit of a hit and hope. There's not much more Marc could do there. Try and get solid contact, try and make a ball, try and mess the table up. And he's half messed the table up. He's given Jake a half an issue, but it's in truth, well, I say half an issue. That half an issue has caused him a problem. I wasn't sure he was going to play the cannon there. The reason being, I thought that he could play on the one red to then open up the other red with more control. Played the cannon there, but got it wrong.
He's now going to play a good shot. He's short. He wanted to be in behind that red, I'm almost certain.
Can Marc see enough of the yellow to pot it? If not, can he get a good snooker or a good safety? Looks like he's going to brush off the yellow and target the yellow on the cushion.
Yep.
And get the snooker behind the other yellow. No, he's going to play it short where he's got more chance of guaranteeing the snooker.
Jake can't hit a ball here. It's actually a really clever shot.
I think he can see the one on the top cushion.
Yeah.
Which means
it's going straight in behind that red by the pocket. Delicate shot. Played really well.
It's part of the reason I thought Marc might take the shot that I was suggesting on. If he targeted the yellow on the cushion, the same shot he just played but with more pace, the yellow becomes a nice guide to sort of kill the cue ball. Then he would get the snooker that was going to give him a much better opportunity of Jake not being able to respond. I know there's still 4 minutes left in this match, but we could be looking at 2-2 again. It's every chance we own 2-2 now. Bad split on the next break, and you just never know. Marc Fleming has the next break, which could be important. He's probably already mentally preparing himself for the fact it will be 2-2 next time he steps to the table and has that break.
Yeah, he's not expecting to play a shot in this frame anymore. That's nice from Jake.
Yeah, I assume the 8-ball went to the bottom right, but the fact that he played the shot that way tells me that it didn't.
Lovely stuff from Jake McCartney, who is one of Australia's finest players, and Marc on the break. 3 minutes, 8 seconds remaining. Crunch.
Slight change of position.
Oh, that 8-ball was close. Oh, this is a little bit awkward, you know.
Yeah, that's the best break he's hit tonight, though. Slight change of position. He got much more of a solid contact on that cue ball. And I agree with you.
The red and yellow nearest the centre pocket are a pain.
If the red just directly to the right of the 8-ball drops in, then you can make a case for reds. You still have the one on the bottom of the table that's a problem. But he doesn't really have an opening yellow, so you feel like he has to be reds.
Red balls in play.
Delicate safety shot then. Not the greatest safety shot Marc's ever played. There was a couple of things going on there for Marc. He wanted to try and make sure that the yellow nearest the 8-ball finished awkward, and it has. But it's still an opportunity for Jake to try and steal this one away, although that one hurts him a lot.
Oh, doesn't it just? You know, you were saying there's every chance the next frame goes scrappy and we may have another 2-2.
Looks favourite right now.
Is he going into the middle pocket area? No. Oh, it was quite a clever shot, actually.
I like your choice of shot, though. That looked a big pocket into the left centre pocket off the 8-ball. That would have been a brave shot.
It would have been very brave,
with a
yeah.
minute and a half left on the clock, but I like your choice.
So reds are still awkward.
Can he play the loss of turn now, leave it safe and have another opportunity? Probably not. That's a great shot.
Oh. What a shot.
Well, if Jake uses his full 10 seconds, there's going to be enough time here for Marc to have a chance. If Jake fouls here, cue ball in hand, it's not going to be easy, but he'll have a chance.
And he is going to foul. Cue ball in hand, 40 seconds. Off you go, Flambeau.
The snooker he just played deserved it, but this is the key shot, the first one. He obviously has to give himself short position and try and play on the one by the 8-ball. I'm surprised he didn't try and get to the sort of cushion and maybe play on a plant. That one by the 8-ball's a real problem ball.
He's going to run out of time. It's 2-2 again. 3 straight matches, 3 straight draws. It's the group that nobody wants to win.
On to our fourth match of the night. Scott Gillespie taking on Karl Sutton. And it was Scott that won the opening frame with a reverse clearance, and he now has the break in frame 2.
Scott's changed a bit with his break tonight.
Very fortunate not to spot the cue ball, and then a couple of kisses go his way and makes a ball. This cue ball's dangerously close to the top left-hand corner as we look.
Yeah, it was. A little bit of rub there for Goobsy.
He held up his hand, just he knew he got a touch there. Won't stop him trying to clear this up though.
No.
Fully taking advantage of it.
Oh, quite right too.
Decent split. Expect him to go reds. Yellows are just a bit fiddly.
Red balls in play.
Does the red nearest the yellow in the middle of the table pass the 8-ball to the corner? If so, I quite like it now. Take that, get the one at the top up, and then it's just about leaving an angle on the one nearest the right centre to come back and hit the gap at the bottom left-hand side of the table. Could leave it as last ball, of course. You could deal with the ones at the bottom. Looks like he's going the way I first suggested, which is the ones at the top first. But there was a chance there with the angle he just had that he could have come down for the one just to the left of the 8-ball. If he landed straight on that, he could have dealt with all the ones at the bottom. And then the position from this one in the centre onto the next ball, if it was the 8-ball, would have been as simple as it gets.
Yeah. As we mentioned before, though, it's not always necessarily the pretty patterns and all the rest of it which sets Scott apart. He's an efficient player. Sometimes he just puts the cue ball in areas where he knows he can do his work. He doesn't worry about almost overcomplicating the game.
Played that one well. Put it perfect, really. I'd argue one more revolution of the cue ball would have been absolutely perfect, but he's still fine here. I think part of the problem that Scott had when he returned to Ultimate Pool is that whether it was the break or for whatever reason, his patterns didn't seem to quite be on. And like you say, he's a shot maker, he's a potter. He's not. He's never always flawless with them, but they were off, and he was causing himself more and more headaches and having to rely on the potting more and more than he ever used to.
And I think you could go the other way there as well, a little bit as well. Let Scott take on this 8-ball first.
Yeah, he's just gone wrong just at the last minute there. I think he was. I don't know if he was expecting to miss the 8-ball or get the thicker contact, but that's about as bad as he could have left it. This has
missed a bad one of these tonight. This is much harder than the one he missed.
Yeah, and it was at 1-0 with a chance to go 2-0 with back-to-back off the break as well. This has such a eerie, similar feel.
Oh, shots. Would leave himself what would be described as a bit of a pressure pot. Those were a lower percentage than they were when he was flying, and that sort of thing can snowball.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he was just. I just remember him for the 17, 18, 19. It was just any time he had a tricky ball or a tricky 8-ball, it was he just never felt in doubt. He just never thought he was ever going to miss it. Whereas they were being missed at the beginning of Ultimate Pool and his pro journey with Ultimate. That the patterns were making it happen, and he wasn't able to then recover with the big pots. So he certainly, I think, he turned in terms of form and the way he's been handling himself at the table. I think in the middle of last year and made the group final, the Players' Championship, and lost out to Gareth Potts, but it was a unbelievably good performance from Gareth Potts in that match, one of the best he's ever produced, and Scott was right there with him throughout it, and I think that he started to build on the back of that, as much as you can in a loss, that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that breakout shot has half worked. He's opened up the yellows, but he's not nicely on the next one. He can pot the one to the top of the table, but can't really get the cue ball out beyond the next balls. Has to make a tougher pot down the table. But now that that one's gone in, he can pick his route. Everything now goes. Very good pot. It's still a little bit tricky. When does he take the yellow to nearest the red? To the top right. Does he leave the other yellow up there? If he does, he needs to top through, get above straight on it. So he wants to get, yeah, that's what he's looking at. Has to be quite precise on this one. Just doesn't want to leave himself short on the last yellow. Slightly hampered queuing. but he doesn't look like he has to mess around with the red when he pots the yellow, so he can just top it through. So as long as he gets past the straight, he's fine. It won't matter if he's on the cushion, just has to be past the straight by about a ball.
Yeah, that's perfect. Impressive performances from Goobsy.
How close is the cue ball to the middle here? The line was, he could just die in to leave it short though. Very, very good finish this one, the best of the three.
Scott Gillespie heating up. Goobsy on a roll.
And it may well happen.
Oh, it's painful. It's painful if you're in Karl Sutton's shoes.
Karl can't watch, looking at this break. Oh, just a little peek at the end. You hear it more than see it. As a player out there, you're kind of listening for that ball dropping in a pocket. Unfortunately, from Karl's perspective, one has. And it's not a bad layout. Not a bad layout at all.
Red ball's in play.
It sounds strange, but the little cluster around the centre pocket, just a little bit awkward. Wonder if the two together, if the top one drops in without moving the other one. Yeah, he's having a look to see if there's a gap from high of the 8-ball. Then you can play on the one on the cushion. He doesn't want to move one red to make it awkward. Well, that's what he's played on.
He'd be a pool player.
Yeah, don't blame him. I wouldn't want to watch this as a player either.
There's only so many times I can mention that you know what it feels like to be in that situation.
I know full well what it feels like to be in that situation. Thanks for reminding me. And you were in a commentary box and you like to remind me every time you can.
It's not actually often we've actually had a chance to sort of regale that story, but this year on the Champions League, what we have seen is overall we've seen tighter groups, we've seen a higher standard, they've been more difficult to call, but every now and then, because of the level on show, we have seen sort of clean sweeps where 2 dry breaks really can be just it, because if you run into someone playing well who's a top world-class player, and there's a lot of them in this tournament, that will happen.
Absolutely. And it looks like it's going to happen here. This has been a very nice finish from Scott, because it looked really simple, because every red looks like, oh yeah, that goes, that goes, that goes, but just had to be really mindful and work his way around it. And I like the way he's done it. Very good.
It's a super frame, it's a super result, it's a super performance from Scott Gillespie. You have to feel for Karl Sutton a little bit. He's not had a single shot.
That result eliminates Karl Sutton, but he has to play his final match of the night and he stays out in the arena to take on Marc Fleming, who needs to win to keep his chances of qualifying alive. We join the match midway through the prolonged opening frame.
Saw this in previous match. Marc just likes to build himself up for some of these shots, just when it can be just slightly awkward. Oh, and it has gone wrong.
Oh dear.
Just potted that on the shade on the side of the pocket, and the path of the cue ball comes up on a different line and leaves him horrible. What do you do here? I mean, I'm not sure there is a safety option, so you've got to try and get this 8-ball going in. Does it cut back? Probably not. Way too thin. bottom right, so he's looking at some sort of double. Oh, in the end, he has played a safety shot. That's clever. 8 ball into yellow to knock it on the side cushion. Cue ball on the bottom cushion. That's actually very, very clever.
Yeah, has Karl got a fairly straightforward safety in reply, though?
I wouldn't say straightforward, but he definitely has a safety option. He has got it safe. I think Marc can see enough of this 8 ball to keep the cue ball in a safe area of the table, at least limit Karl to a double. And that's what he's done.
Karl will take this all day, though, eh?
Yeah, the thing with Marc there, what he's done is he's put the 8 ball into a position where Karl has the freedom here to play safe and get the yellow over a pocket. Well, it doesn't have to be over a pocket, but in play, so that he gets the snooker. And I thought he might try and do more there.
Yeah.
To try and get the yellow near a pocket. But I guess then in doing that, you risk a double because you're going to leave sight of the 8 ball, which he didn't really want to do. So in the end, he's decided to guarantee the snooker. Can't argue against that.
All of a sudden, do you make Karl Sutton favourite?
I would make Karl favourite right now, yeah. I mean, the way Marc wins this for me is if he makes a big shot. This is what I thought he might do in the previous one, is try and knock the yellow into a place where it can be potted from pretty much anywhere. Force Marc into making a big shot.
Yeah, but that was why I think Karl waited, because he can put the yellow over this pocket. Double doesn't go into its natural pocket now. Goes the other way. It wasn't far. But now Karl Sutton has the frame at his mercy. He's had a bit of a run, though, as Marc Fleming, with where that cue ball's ended. Sorry, the 8 balls ended up.
Yeah,
not gimme this for Karl Sutton.
Far from it. Far from it. That's well played. That's a lot better than it looks.
Karl Sutton home and hosed in the first frame of the match. Should mention that group originally was scheduled for earlier on in the calendar year. Was moved around for 1 or 2 date commitments. We do eventually get to see it. It should be a really good one. Looking forward to it. Karl Sutton's break is decent. And he's a proper professional, is Karl. He really does treat this game very seriously. And there won't be any element of him sort of phoning in this performance.
Yeah, absolutely not. You saw that in the previous frame. If it was ever going to happen, it would have been in a frame like the one before, where you could, he could just throw his arm at a couple of shots, maybe try and make something outrageous, but he didn't. He played the right shots for the situation. Actually, it's amazing, but the last frame lasted nearly 8 minutes, and we see so many great finishes and brilliant break clearances and the like from all these great players. I find frames like the last one, those little tactical exchanges when it goes mixy at the end of frames, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed watching both players sort of treat us to some clever thinking out there.
These yellows should be as much of a gimme as they'll ever be, really, for a player of Karl's level. As difficult as the last one was to win, this one is now absolutely routine. You don't miss these. And all of a sudden, Marc Fleming's just got a little bit of work to do. He must win. And minute. He is 3 frames away from being able to save that. 2-0 Sutton.
Karl won the next as well to make it 3-0 and has the break in the 4th.
Oh, what a break.
Look at the cue ball spinning. He comes right across this one, but the 2 times he's done this and the cue ball stayed on the table, because he's done that 3 times tonight, the break has always been massive off the back of it.
Yellow balls in play.
Yellows have work to do.
I think the yellow does go at the top of the table, so it will come down to a double. Okay, he's going to play this one off the big pocket. It won't be a double. He's playing this to the top right. Got to be careful that he doesn't block off the yellow.
Oh, shot.
No, he has blocked off the yellow. That yellow went previously.
He's got a bit of angle there. I think he can come above this. Just like this. What a shot. Oh, he's a little short. Line was perfect.
Well, he had a look to see if this yellow goes top left. It does, but it's not much of a pocket.
Oh, he's fooling us all. It flew in. Karl Sutton rolls off 4 in a row against Marc Fleming. A super performance from Carlos.
Final match of the night. Simple scenario. A win or a draw for Scott Gillespie and he will go through. A Jake McCartney win and he will go through. And it was the Scotsman Scott Gillespie that won the opening frame with a break clearance. Jake has the break in frame 2.
You know, he tells us he's not at his brilliant best, that we may be sort of thinking that finish there, maybe it's not going right for him, but actually that's what Goobsy does when he's at his best. He just gets out.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're not feeling great and seeing bad things happen, just landing awkward a couple of times, you find a way not to make that finish. But when you're playing really well, you get over all those little problems where you don't quite land ideally. For the first time in a little while, Scott's going to have to sit and watch an opponent play. This feels like a big visit to the table for me, and it's not easy. The yellows are really not easy, and the reds have that one big problem ball, being the 8 ball. Just a quick glance, does the 8 ball pass the yellow? And absolutely think it does. Is it in a good position for a double? Possibly.
Red balls in play.
If the 8 ball goes, I quite like getting rid of the red. Yeah, this one he's playing now, because this isn't a good ball then to get onto the 8 ball.
Oh, missed it.
Surprising miss.
Yeah, very surprising miss. Just trying to work out the state of play as it unfolds. Are yellows that bad a proposition? Has Jake made it a big pocket down this bottom right? Because if he hasn't, then reds still aren't terrible. You look at the main shot and you think there's no way. You look at the overhead and you think there's a route.
Yeah, I don't think there's a yellow that passes. I thought he might take the risk and play the loss of turn from where he was.
Might do it now.
As in, brush off the yellow that's on the bottom cushion, pop the red over the pocket, and try and get the yellow in between the cue ball and the reds. But it's a gamble because it wouldn't be an easy shot to play, and obviously you can't do it from where he is now. What's the plan here then, Scott?
I'm so interested to find out.
Yeah, I am. I'm struggling to see it right now. Yeah, because the red at the bottom it's causing all sorts of problems. It's not, you can't really play a combination shot. There's no good way of going into it. You do need to do something about it, but yeah, this is is getting trickier and trickier.
There's got to be a plan, and he will have one. We're all in the dark at the moment.
I actually see you could play the yellow. If he got a little bit further down the table, maybe he was trying to get to previously. If you play the plant on the yellow, so yellow onto red, you can really get behind those two yellows. He hasn't quite got to the area of the table where he can do it. He's just a smidge too thin on it.
Lost the turn.
We'll never know, maybe,
Yeah.
because he runs aground.
Never quite got the cue ball where he wanted to at any visit there, and just got a little bit lost. Still not guaranteed for Jake though, with the 8-ball still being the problem. Tried to move it there and misses it, and well, that's a problem because he's not landed on the one over the bottom right corner.
It's a big problem. Jakey has got to make a big, big shot here. That's a great pot. Recognised by Scott Gillespie. Wonder if he played that with an element of safety in mind. Miss it, you leave it hovering over the pocket, and Scott's pretty limited on options.
I think if he had done that, then a loss of turn may have won Scott the frame.
Oh, he goes into the 8-ball.
That's
What a
brilliant.
shot.
That is brilliant.
It's not only brilliant, it is brave. I think a lot of players there simply take their medicine a little bit, accept the double, give themselves a shot. But Jay McCartney says no. Crunch. Cue ball. Well, well, well. Zero wrong with that break for Scott Gillespie. Absolutely zero. Look at that cue ball. Plumb down the middle of the table. But that's how it goes sometimes. It's amazing. Mistakes get amplified. They get punished not once, but twice. Scott wins that last frame. You just know that cue ball's not going in. It was such. If you're not a pool player, you maybe don't appreciate that, but that is just the way of the world. It's how it works.
And it's the second time that's happened to Scott tonight, where he'll feel like, not so much this time round, but you know, the first time he did it, you know, he should have gone 2-0 up and didn't. This time he'll feel like he's maybe missed half a chance there to take control of that frame to then go 2-0. But yeah, it's happened to him twice because he's gone in off or dry straight away afterwards. And such a big, that previous frame was so big, but 2-0 means Jake has to win 3 frames in the remaining time. 1-1 means that if Jake clears up here, he becomes the man in the driving seat because he has the next break. And he should clear up here.
Yeah, and they're all really nice now.
I don't think Jake will try and do too much with the last positional shot. I mean, he's having a look at all options for that yellow by the 8-ball, but if you drop this one in to get on the one on the bottom and just roll it through, take it top left corner, keep it really clean. No, he's not going to do that. He's left more angle here than I thought he would. To me, that yellow doesn't look like it passes the 8-ball to the bottom left or the red to the bottom right, so there's too much angle here.
Yeah, but there's no way he's not played on this angle.
Exactly. Maybe it goes left centre clean and then into the red's perfect. Yeah, it does. So it actually was absolutely perfect. Natural into the red. Wasn't sure this one went into the centre, but it does.
Yeah, again, it's a really, really nicely worked out finish. Top class. McCartney, 2-1 in front in a match that he must win, and if he wins, he qualifies. He is absolutely, for me, one of the most consistent performers. Had a great run in the Pro Cup, strong in the Pro Series, without maybe having that proper breakthrough performance this year.
Yeah, it's a strange one because he'll feel like he's a much better player now than he was when he won on the Pro Series, but hasn't been able to repeat. Interesting layout here with 5 minutes left on the clock.
Oh yeah.
This is, I mean, this is going to go right down to the wire. This is not a layout that Scott wants to have much of a mess around with. But he has to manage the clock, he has to manage the situation, and so does Jake. Can Jake make a run for the line in terms of holding out for 5 minutes? Does he try and make Scott chase a bad finish? I think the one thing I'm saying to myself right now if I'm Jake McCartney is don't chase a bad finish myself. If the right
don't give the game away.
Yeah, if the right shot is a safety shot, then play the safety shot. If the right shot is you basically don't take a low percentage. You take, if a good finish presents itself through good tactical play, then obviously take it and win the match. But just don't give it easy to Scott here. Going to be a fascinating 4 minutes. Remember, Scott Gillespie goes through with the draw. Jake has to win.
Yeah, so in a sense, it's come down to this frame.
This frame feels like the frame.
Basically a decider.
Yeah. Oh, what a shot.
Whoa.
What a shot that is. Not only the pot, which was brilliant, but it opens up 2 bad reds.
Well, you always think with deciders, you want them to be won rather than lost via a mistake or something like that. And Scott Gillespie may well have played the shot to go and win it. He was a little bit awkward on that one, though. Couldn't really do too much. He's still in with a shout.
It's actually worked out okay, because the natural takes the cue ball into a little cluster. That is another brilliant shot. Maybe it being critical, just that shade firmer might have been better. Key shot now. Do you take it long? If you take it long, you've got the control. If you clip it back, I'm not even sure if you can get to the angle to clip it back, so maybe he has to take it long.
Oh, a twist. A twist. A wry smile from Goobsy.
Oh, Jake, if you just put that yellow safe. Can't quite pot out in terms of he's going to, there's only 3 reds left on the table. That yellow does go, but obviously to the corner now rather than the middle. Oh, and that's straight. That's just making it awkward. Can't do much more than drop this in. Yellow waiting right centre.
Oh, what a shot.
That's very clever.
What a shot that is to pull out.
Very, very clever.
Solid contact for Scott, but I don't think it's really going to help him all that much. Control of the frame is all in the hands of Mr. McCartney.
The only thing I will say is that if Jake misses here, that red does squeak past the yellow to the bottom right, so there's still pressure on this shot.
Well, as Jake McCartney has told us on more than one occasion, pressure is for tyres. Big big time pot from the Aussie.
He could have done with sliding by that 8-ball. He's just made that one in the middle of the table even more awkward. That's why he doesn't want to continue trying to chase a finish.
It's a clever shot.
He's playing the match situation here so well.
50 seconds left. Whoever wins this frame is qualifying.
Oh, if he gets the loss of turn here, it's worked. Oh,
That'll
wow.
do.
That's a huge fluke. That is a huge fluke.
36 seconds.
That could be the difference here. That is incredible.
Is there still time to win it, though? Jake, I think, tried to play a loss of turn of his own. All right, then, Goobsy, 22 seconds to go and win the match, to go and qualify. There's one. He's not got time. He's not got angle for a second. Hit and hope. It's not going to be, and it's going to be a Jake McCartney who is going to qualify, a nail biter. And he squeaks through.
Fantastic end to the night, but it is Jake McCartney that makes his way through to the second stage of the competition. You can watch this whole night back on Ultimate Pool TV, or if you're looking forward to the next week, our final group from the first stage of the competition, this is the lineup we have for you. Gio Edgar, Gareth Potts, Ryan Day and Wade Morley will do battle in Group 16 of the Ultimate Pool Champions League.